Hey guys, Magnus Robert here, bringing you another Dead Walking Dead character video. Today we will be looking at two members of the Claimers, those being Billy and Harley. Billy is of course male, he is played by Eric Mendenhall. He is early 30s and first appeared in Alone. Harley is of course male, he is played by J.D. Evermore. He is mid-40s and is first heard in Claimed, but first appears in Alone. Nothing is known about either of their lives pre-outbreak really, but after it began they eventually found and joined the Claimers, adopting Joe's simple rules of claiming what you want, not stealing, and not lying. They probably joined at a later stage as neither of them were seen in the web episode, unlike Joe and Tony were. Eventually they found a house in a neighborhood and witnessed one of their fellow members breaking the rules. Joe's precious rules. In Season 4, Billy and Harley are not seen, but Harley can be heard. After one of Joe's group members breaks the rules, Harley, Billy, and the others attack this man. I'm trusting what the wiki says here, but Harley was the one to bash in the rule breaker's head. Someone then asks a question, maybe it was Billy, if Harley is going to finish the job, but Harley says the rule breaker deserves to bleed out for breaking the rules. Eventually then Joe asks Harley to clean up the body and the mess that he's caused. An hour or so later, the group is attacked by a zombie Lou, killed by one Rick Grimes. Billy and Harley help to put down zombie Lou, and then Tony awakes and reveals there was a man hiding under the bed in the house, and the group begin to track their friend Lou's murderer to seek revenge. During their trip, they find Daryl in the road, and Billy and Harley help to surround the crossbow man and put their guns to Daryl when he punches Joe and points his crossbow at him. Both listen to Joe disarm the situation, resulting in Daryl joining the Claimers. They continue their tracking and they make a little camp in the woods, with cans on string for security. Harley is seen sleeping when a walker wakes him, Billy, and the others. Harley claims he's got it and uses his bayonet on his rifle to kill the sleep disturber. Harley then puts his rifle in the ground and takes his morning piss. Billy sorts through his possessions, listening to Tony and Len chat about Daryl being missing. Daryl returns and they head out walking across the train tracks. A zombie blocks their path and Dan and Tony push it into Billy's direction, and Billy puts the walker down with a crowbar. His friend Harley was holding his gun for him whilst he did it. Oh, that's so nice. And Billy then goes to grab that gun from his mate. Joe orders that they stop at a warehouse, so Billy and Harley do so and they begin to sweep inside. Guns ready, they enter, rushing for any potential threats, sweeping it, but it's all clear. Rick, the Lou killer, isn't there, but that's okay. Billy claims a car that Daryl was beginning to set his stuff on, kicking Daryl's bag out the way as he does. Harley then claims a car too, it would appear. Billy and Harley later on overhear and watch Len confront Daryl over a missing half a rabbit. Joe goes to sort it out and reveals that the missing half is in Daryl's bag. Harley and Billy begin to surround Joe, Len and Daryl as Joe does some further digging. Joe catches Len in a lie and punches him, telling Billy, Harley and the others to beat Len to death for his lying. So Billy and Harley do that with the help of Tony and Dan, and they beat Len to death. Harley clearly claimed Len's compound bow because he's seen with it, so I'm gonna guess that Harley was the one to put Len down before reanimation. Both then help to dump his body outside. In the morning, both Harley and Billy pack up and leave the warehouse. They eventually reach a terminus sign and wait for Joe and Daryl to catch up. Harley comments that they're getting close as both Billy and Harley continue forward down the tracks following Rick's trail. Night soon comes, and maybe this is the next day, maybe it's the same day, I'm unsure. But anyway, they find Rick, Michonne, and Carl on the road. As Joe and Tony hold Rick and Michonne at gunpoint, both Harley and Billy flank from the woods and hold more gunpowder on the little group, whilst Dan eyes up Carl in the truck. Daryl tells Joe to hold up a second, and Harley says, "This is the guy who killed Lou, so there's nothing to talk about." Billy and Harley hear Daryl call Rick and friends good people. Joe disagrees. Daryl offers himself as a sacrifice, but Joe points out, wait, you said Rick is good people? You're a liar, Daryl. Fat liar. So with that condemnation from Joe, Billy rushes behind Daryl whilst Harley smacks him in the gut with the butt of his gun. Both Harley and Billy then begin to beat the shit out of Daryl, intending to, of course, beat him to death. They don't even break their beating on Daryl when a gunshot rings off, mainly because Joe says he's got it. However, suddenly, both men stop their ruthless beating of Daryl when they witness Rick rip out Joe's throat with his teeth. Out of nowhere, Michonne kills Tony, Daryl punches Billy to the ground, Harley goes for his gun, but Michonne does this to Harley. Shot in the head by Michonne. Daryl punches Billy some more and then grabs him and does this to Billy. Curb stomped to death by Daryl. Damn. I'm assuming that Billy was also put down before reanimation by probably Daryl, Rick, or Michonne. R.I.P. Harley and Billy. Their bodies likely just left to rot. Billy and Harley were just two lesser members of Joe's claimer group, really, but honestly, I like how they stand out. Even though these two are the most NPC claimers, they don't feel like NPCs compared to some of those later villainous groups like the Saviors or the Commonwealth. The NPCs we see later on, they feel like they've got less character, but I feel like Billy and Harley, they have a little bit. There's a little spark there, you know? These guys, they feel real. The trouble is, though, they were at the very least cool with rape. They were cool with murder, and that's not cool with me, so they were actually terrible people. Anyway, thanks for watching my video on Billy and Harley. Let's spin the wheel to see who will be next week. Who will the wheel decide next? Let's see. Let's give it a spin. Duke and Lance. Interesting.